Claude versus ChatGPT versus DeepSeek. Which one of them is the superior AI that is capable of operating like a fixed engine? Today we're going to find it out in the world's first fix-off. I don't know, I couldn't come up with a better name for this, but basically what I want to do is I'm going to give this, or give these artificial intelligence implementations a little bit of a test. The test consists of a fix log that is 317 lines long that is broken. I have strategically broken this fix message, or these fix messages, in many different ways, and I'm going to test out each AI model to see if they're able to figure out what is wrong with these fixed messages. I've done things such as breaking the checksum value. I've violated fix rules. I've added random delimiters. I have broken messages, like for example, there's a heartbeat message that I put the message type of D in there. I've swapped the sender comp and target comp. I've done all kinds of things, and I'm very curious to know what the results are. I have not run this test yet, so we are both going to find out together how good these AI models are. So this is the list of things that I've done. Just for your reference, you can pause the video to see. So there's 13 items, and we're going to see what happens. So the prompt is, what is this? So we're going to start outside the box a little bit here. And before we have it interrogate this log, we're just going to do a basic logic check. I'm just going to give it this fix log and ask it to tell me what this is. But I'm also going to say, I'm going to qualify how it should give me the information. We're testing again how smart these things are. So, or how good they are at giving the impression of intelligence, shall we say. So, in one sentence, tell me what this is. In one sentence, tell me what this is. Actually, let's go real outside of the box. I'm going to, quote unquote, accidentally forget to give it the fix log. So I'm just going to ask it this question with no context. So I'm literally asking it, in one sentence, tell me what this is. And let's see how it interprets that question without me giving it the actual log. So I'm presuming it's going to tell me about what it is in terms of the AI itself, because there's nothing else here, right? Well, let's see what happens. So this is Claude. We're starting with Claude. So Claude is here on the left, ChatGPT in the middle, and then DeepSeek on the right. So let's go and see what Claude says. Moving on to ChatGPT while that's responding, giving DeepSeek the same question. Okay, so pretty logical. The response times are pretty similar. It's basically describing itself. Let's see if I can zoom in a little bit here so you guys can see a little bit better. So DeepSeek is basically, in some ways, maybe being smarter because I didn't tell it what the context was, right? So rather than assume that I'm referring to itself, it wants me to give it some context of what I'm asking about, right? I guess this is subject to interpretation. Your opinion, you might say it's smarter to, because this is kind of human behavior, right? We would make assumptions based on context clues. This is a detailed personal and professional profile of Carl outlining his background skills. So ChatGPT, little bit peculiar, that response. Claude tries to describe itself. The description is a bit vague and clunky. I mean, it seems to be describing the website itself and not what's behind the website in terms of Claude, the Claude AI. So that's interesting. So DeepSeek wants context. ChatGPT is using its memory of previous conversations and describing, sort of giving a description of its memory of me and what we've been talking about. Claude just describes the website. Very, very different responses. Okay. So let's ask the same question, but this time we'll provide context. So the same question in one sentence, what is this? This time we're going to paste the actual log here. Notice a difference in how they handle the data. As you can see, Claude is very neat here. It's kind of like I'm uploading a file. Whereas with ChatGPT, it just throws it right into the chat box, which you may or may not like. I personally prefer the way Claude handles it. All right, and here we go. Claude, ChatGPT, and DeepSeek. So Claude is thinking, ChatGPT thinking, Claude is done, ChatGPT done, and DeepSeek is done. DeepSeek was the slowest, it seems. Of course, this is not exact science. I'm not sending the data at the exact same time. So they all recognize that this is a fixed log. It's smart enough to understand, Claude, smart enough to understand the context of the fixed log, that it's between these two entities. DeepSeek as well introduces that context into the description. ChatGPT, on the other hand, is just vague in terms of, it's just telling you that it's a fixed log. It actually does specify it's between two counterparties. It just doesn't reference the specific counterparties, which I don't know. I think it's a better answer to include the context of who is in the log rather than just saying it's a fixed log between two counterparties. So ChatGPT being a little bit more vague than DeepSeek and Claude. So Claude and DeepSeek, similar responses. All of them reference the type of messages that is in the log. So there's order submissions, executions, and heartbeats. Okay. So I'm trying to limit it to how many things it's going to try to find wrong with these logs by giving it a specific number. So I'm telling it there are 13 problems in these logs. Can you find them? I'm not qualifying what types of problems or anything like that, just keeping it very vague. Let's see what happens. And Claude, go. ChatGPT, go. And DeepSeek, go. All right. Claude is doing its thing. ChatGPT, very slow. It's doing an analysis. DeepSeek is ahead of ChatGPT. Claude is done. DeepSeek is still running. ChatGPT is still analyzing. ChatGPT being very, very slow. DeepSeek is almost done. Item 9, 10. ChatGPT is still processing. 11, 12, and DeepSeek is done and did a summary at the end. Okay, pretty cool. So ChatGPT, while ChatGPT is still trying to figure out what's going on, let's see if they picked out all the issues. What I should probably do is have it give me by sequence number, because that's how I have my notes for the issues. So ChatGPT is finally done, and it's giving us its report, one of the cleanest reports. Oh, it only found 6 things. Wow. You spent all that time and then you only got 6. All right. So let's see what they found. So both DeepSeek and Claude picked up on the inconsistent fixed protocol version, which I changed from 4.0 to 4.2. Then Claude picked up on the 50 equals Steve. So that's a sender sub tag, and there's no equal sign between 50 and Steve. So it picked up on that. I'm not seeing that with DeepSeek. Let's see, search for Steve. So it looks like DeepSeek missed that. And let's keep track of these things. And let's change the formatting. All right, so I'm going to have it list each item in this format so we can focus on the sequence numbers, which I have listed. Make it a little bit easier. So that's interesting. So Claude understood my instructions very, very well. So Claude did a very, very good job with this. So that is following my instructions. ChatGPT, not so much, and DeepSeek, not so much. So we have to clarify. Okay, clarifying my instructions to ChatGPT and to DeepSeek. Let's see if they get on board. So DeepSeek got it right away. ChatGPT again is very slow. This is ChatGPT 4.0, by the way. All right, there you go. So ChatGPT eventually figured it out and seems to be complying, but it misses a lot. ChatGPT keeps missing a lot. So I'm gonna give ChatGPT a fail for not getting all the items. So sequence number 1, missing tag 141, reset sequence number flag in logon message. Curious. Invalid checksum value of 0. Nice. So you got that one. Body length of 073 doesn't match actual message length. That is interesting. I don't remember changing that message, but maybe I modified it by accident. That's interesting. Guess I'll give it a bonus for picking up on something that I didn't. Invalid message type 35 equals U. That would be incorrect. Sequence jump from 4 to 87 indicates missing messages. So that is correct. It picked up on the 50 equals C. That's correct. Tag order violation 57 after 128. That's curious. I don't remember changing the tag order there. I gotta look into that. Interestingly enough, that message was modified. So I don't know if I made a change that I don't recall. The issue with sequence number 88 is supposed to be dot. I removed the T from dot. So that's interesting. Carlisle trade, that's obvious. It got that one, nice. No response to reject message. I guess, but that wasn't something that I did, so I don't know. I'll give it a technically correct, but that's not part of the problem. That's not a problem that I put in there. And then I didn't give it the full log, so there probably was a response, but it's just not in this part of the messages. Timestamp shows 1900 instead of 900. Wow. So you picked up on that. 118. That is correct. I changed the time and it actually caught it. Nice. Invalid delimiter. Nice. I picked up the pipe. I just stuck a pipe in there between one of the tag value pairs. I did the same thing with the caret symbol. I just randomly throw it in there. What I was testing is having a pipe symbol as a delimiter is normal. So technically there's nothing wrong with that, but having a fixed log where everything else, where only one tag value pair has a pipe, that's not right. either that's your delimiter or it's not your delimiter. You're not just gonna use a delimiter just for one tag value pair and then nowhere else in the log. Same thing with the caret. So very good find there. And again, playing around with the fixed version. So it's picking up on some other things. It didn't pick up on some of the other things that I had there. So it missed the logon response. Also, 86 had another issue that it missed. I swapped the sender and target. But that's kind of deep. Like, you really need to understand the context to pick up on that. So I'm not surprised it didn't pick up on that. I mean, in order for you to recognize that there's an issue, because, you know, whenever I send a message out, the sender comp and target comp will be swapped. So if I take a message and I swap those tags, on the surface it looks like a valid message, but the context, I think, would be the problem. Depends on what the message is. Heartbeat going out, and then, you know, a millisecond later, another heartbeat going out from the same source. I don't know that necessarily is a violation of protocol. I have to see if that's something that's specified, but it definitely looks suspicious for sure. I mean, you're violating the interval, right? I mean, if you set a 30-second interval and you're sending, you know, less than that, significantly less than that, I would think that that's indicative of a problem. I don't know if that's something that would register or would you get a session reject on that? I mean, what are you rejecting it on? Too many heartbeats? I don't know. That's something. That's a really obscure thing. I've never seen that happen before. I don't know how the fixed engine would respond to that. We'd have to look again at the protocol, because is there a rule where you send a heartbeat and you wait for the response and then you send another one? So if you send a heartbeat and then, you know, you don't have a response and then you just send another one and you're sending it in less than the heartbeat interval, like I don't know how that would go down exactly. So ChatGPT picked up on the Steve, okay. Picked up on the changing fixed protocol version, okay. It picked up on the invalid checksum, okay, 10 equals 0. Missing sequence numbers indicating possible message loss. Missing sequence. Oh, so it's saying that that these messages don't exist in the log. I guess those are those ones that I changed? 35 equals 5? I skipped from 4 to 87. So sequence number 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like all those are missing. So I don't know why it isolated specifically 5 and then it jumps to 85, right? I mean, 86 is also missing. That's not referenced here. So I'm not really sure what this is all about. This seems a little bit strange. It's like it's picking up on something, but it's not sure. There are a total of 13 distinct issues with multiple being. That's interesting. So it's listing 13 items in a 4-item list. So rather than list these as separate, I guess it's counting them. So let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not sure how it gets to 13. Kind of bizarre. So ChatGPT really slow and confused about a few things. Let's look at DeepSeek and see what DeepSeek has to say. So DeepSeek, the sequence number gap is bizarre. The sequence number gap is from 4 to 87. So 86 is just before. So 86 is, so these numbers are close to the end of the gap, but it's saying from those numbers. I don't understand that. The sequence number gap detected jump from 87 to 86. I mean, jumping from 87 to 86, I mean, that's like going backwards. So it's saying the sequence numbers goes back. That's a little bit strange. Duplicate sequence numbers used in both line 8 and 174. Interesting. That was not something that I did, so I'll have to confirm that. That's not one of the items. That's a little strange. Incorrect message length 72 in line 2 does not match actual message content. So sequence number 1 I changed to a checksum of 0, which Claude detected. This is giving the begin string does not match actual message content. I mean, I guess it's a little weird, but I guess. Invalid message type, so does not understand the message type used. So 119, which I do not have on my list, it's saying missing client order ID in 119. It's not. I'm gonna have to list that as incorrect. It said line 251, which is this one, and that's a heartbeat. There shouldn't be a client order ID in a heartbeat. Also, sequence number 119 is not that message. Here's actually sequence number 119, which is another heartbeat, so that also should not have a client order ID. And another error that it did not pick up on is the fact that there's 2 messages with the same sequence number in this log. And this one is an order and does have a client order ID. So I don't know what DeepSeek is talking about. Fail. Something. So checksum 0, it picked up on that. Invalid future timestamp. Interesting. So it picked up on the 2027. Invalid order type. Okay, I gotta look into that one. It picked up on the missing C in Carlisle and the target comp. Missing test request ID in heartbeat message line 5. Interesting. That is not something that I put in there. Missing exec type tag 150 in execution report 177. That is not something I did. Maybe that's from changing of the fixed version number. Missing order status 177 again. Inconsistent field delimiter. So, I would have to say that Claude wins this competition pretty easily. ChatGPT did not do very well at all. And DeepSeek did pretty good. So none of them picked up on sequence number 91, where I changed the client order ID, made it an invalid one. So it's not, it did not keep track of the client order ID to recognize that that was an invalid client order ID, like a fix engine would, because it's not a fix engine. Sequence number 89 changed to 88. I don't think any of them picked up on that one. Also, sequence number 122, no one picked up on that one, where I changed the cum quantity. So the cumulative quantity value was changed to an invalid amount, equaling more shares than the order had. That was 122, which none of them identified as a problem. They didn't recognize sequence number 92. Don't see anybody yet. They did not recognize sequence number 22. Let me show you guys this. So none of them picked up on that one. So I changed the heartbeat into I put a D for message type on a heartbeat message. So it should have recognized that this is not a valid 35 equals D message if it was capable of comprehending fixed messages. Now, I shouldn't say that it is or it isn't capable of handling fixed messages, because I just asked it these questions. You know, maybe if I held its hand a little bit more, like for example, I could set up a project where I could load the entire fixed protocol, and then have it use the protocol itself to analyze the messages. Maybe that would have helped. I mean, one would presume the only way it's able to figure these things out is by using the fixed protocol, right? But it could be looking at random text online. I mean, who knows where it gets its stuff from? If I were to focus it on use this document to analyze these messages, maybe I would get better results. And the interesting thing with DeepSeek is more set up for that, because you can run this locally. So I can create or set it up in a way where it is a fix master. So it's not using random things from the internet or whatever. It's very specifically trained on the fixed protocol itself. And I could perhaps get this thing to be an absolute fix whiz doing it that way. Don't really have that kind of capacity with these. However, Claude and ChatGPT do allow you to upload to, there's a project-based setup where I can create a project, and in that project I can give it documents. So I could, in theory, give it the fixed protocol. The question is, could it handle the fixed protocol itself, or is that document too large? Because there's a limit to how long of a document it can process. So none of them picked up on the year. So the fixed protocol that I gave it, these fixed messages are in the future, which doesn't make any sense. None of them picked up on that. So that's context, right? Because that's not a fixed protocol violation, right? This is a valid year as far as the protocol. but logically, how could you have a message, from the future, right? So that's kind of, it's just a deeper level of logic, right? It's technically fine, but it doesn't make any sense. So they didn't pick up on that. That was too subtle. 121 time change. So somebody picked that up. So Claude picked that up. I think Claude was the only one that picked up on that. Yeah, Claude was the only one that picked up on this. Claude did a really good job. 120 has a pipe delimiter. I think Claude picked up both of them. DeepSeek picked up both of them as well. And there you have it. So this is very interesting results. This is not scientific, not a very scientific analysis that we're doing here. Just kind of playing around with these tools and kind of seeing what they're capable of doing. But I would say I'm a little bit disappointed that ChatGPT didn't do that well. Claude, I'm not surprised, did a really good job. Claude has been very impressive in my experience. DeepSeek, I don't really have any experience with. I'm just now playing around with it. But I think as the new kid on the block, surpassing ChatGPT in this regard, I think was quite impressive. So hats off to the DeepSeek team for remarkable accomplishments coming late to the game, and especially considering the amount of money that they supposedly spent on this and the time that it took to develop it. So DeepSeek, very, very impressive results. And I think, who were the ones that picked up on the sequence number thing? So DeepSeek didn't understand. I think Claude was the only one that got it right away. So Claude was very, very intelligent. Claude got this on the first try. Yeah, Claude was on point. Claude was on point. Let's see, I never had to explain myself. Claude understood what I was asking and did it. If you look back at ChatGPT, holy moly, I gotta scroll for ages to get up. See, that's another advantage of Claude, right? Now we're seeing actual practical advantage of how it takes input with large input. Because this is in my chat box, for me to get to the top, normally you wouldn't be scrolling back up your conversation, so it perhaps may not be relevant. But if you do need to, you got all this stuff on your screen that I have to scroll through, right? With Claude, I just have this little thumbnail. And then if I want to see it, I can click on it and I can see the original message. Much more organized and neat. So another plus for Claude. Claude absolutely won this competition in my view. I want to see how much explanations I needed to do. So what is this? So in the beginning, Claude automatically sort of assumed what I was asking and it gave me a response. DeepSeek was like, what are you talking about? Give me some context. The ChatGPT and Claude were better at behaving more like a human, right? A human would make certain presumptions based on the question I asked. But a human might also ask me to clarify, right? This is not strange. Someone asks you a vague question, you ask them to qualify what they're asking. So I can't fault DeepSeek for being a little bit more precise, shall we say. Maybe that assumption that ChatGPT and Claude is making could get it in trouble sometimes, right? You ask something and rather than, what you're asking is too vague, rather than asking you to qualify, if it just makes assumptions and then gives you the wrong answer. So maybe by DeepSeek forcing you to be more specific, it's actually a better way to do things. I know from the perspective of my work, the DeepSeek response would be more in alignment with the way I would do my work, right? The details are very, very important. We want to make sure that when we're asking questions, we're being very specific about what you're asking, when you're responding to questions, being very, very specific. We don't want any misinterpretations because a lot of money's on the line, right? So, in actuality, for my world, my professional world, DeepSeek is mirroring my behavior in asking questions to qualify what's being asked of it, right? Seems to be designed in a way that is more in alignment with what I would expect from something to be used in a production trading environment. Not saying it can be, but the fact that, running it locally and training it on your specific models, because that's the thing. If I'm going to use this, I want to lock it down. I really want to lock it down, just like how we would lock down anything in a production environment. I don't want this thing to do something unexpected. I don't want it to deviate from expected behavior. It's like we do a fixed certification. We certify the behavior, right? I send you a message that this is how you respond, and we certify that this behavior is accepted. We don't want randomly in trading you start changing tags or doing something that's dangerous, right? So that's the thing that's scary about this technology is we need to have it locked down. We need the behavior to be constrained in some way. So I think whatever we built using this technology would have to be somehow locked into a box somehow where it can only respond in a certain way. Like we have a list of potential responses and it cannot deviate from that. And if it does deviate from that, it would need to do so in a very passive way in terms of it would say unable to, I don't know what the wording is right now, but unable to whatever, but I think that's such and such, like give a suggestion or something, so where it's not taking command, it's not taking authority, it's just saying, hey, take a look at this thing, informational advisory, something like that. But anything where it's taking action on anything, it should be constrained very, very much to a high degree, because we cannot have deviation from expected behavior. That's the thing that's scary about ChatGPT and Claude and these technologies. It's great for searching stuff online and doing a lot of things that people are using it for. But in a trading environment, we need to lock it down, man. So that'll be my biggest concern. Anyway, I'd like to hear your comments. Comment below, and if you're new to the channel, click on the like button, subscribe.